Hi, my name's Kim. I'm a licensed and certified Chinese medical provider, and I'm also a Taoist practitioner. Before we start, you know what? I wanted to thank you guys. I wanted to thank all the subscribers. And, it's great to see you subbing. It's great to read your questions and talk to you about what's going on with your health. And what I really like is that you're interested and you're curious in a holistic approach to your health and maybe not a very traditional Western medical look at your health, but you want to figure out how do I bring my body back to health? I don't want to just keep on covering up symptoms. I actually want to start feeling better. And I want to start being able to do more things in my life. And so, thanks for coming out. Thanks for subbing. Thanks for engaging with me and with the channel. Guess what I'm going to talk about today? I am going to talk about that high pH water. And you're probably going, okay, what does that have to do with Chinese medicine? Well, hold on. I'm going to tell you. Yet before I do, let me tell you what happened to me and why this became something that I was like, I think I need to talk about that. So my husband and I, we were picking up our water. We get the water bottles, the refillable water bottles to put into our water dispenser. And you probably know why. There's so many chemicals that are being used in city waters that we're like, okay, let's just not do that for right now. We'll just take a pass on that. And for our drinking water, we're going to get the refillable bottled water and use that at home. And we had tried this high pH water. And I know for myself, I can maybe do 1 cup of high pH water and then everything starts going sideways on me. But my husband wanted to try it because he really likes it. It works well for him. And I was like, oh yeah, no problem. And I really didn't think anything of it. And we're so busy today that the minute you walk away from something, you notice how it falls out of your head and you completely forget about it. And that's what happened to me is I completely forgot that we got this high pH water and that we were now drinking high pH water. And then something really uncomfortable started happening. I started getting these horrible stomach cramps. It just felt like somebody was twisting my gut with a knife. And then, I started getting some of the other horrible digestive issues. Like I was getting nauseous with everything I ate. I was getting nauseated. There was nothing I could eat that was making me feel any better. And then urgency, right? All of a sudden you have to go to the bathroom all the time. Yeah, completely not cool. But I was starting to think that, oh my gosh, did my digestion just take another step down? Now, here's the thing. Now, if you've crested 50, you're going to notice this weird thing happens. Your health, like every 3 years, it takes this massive step down. It's almost like you wake up one day and you're like, I think my health changed. And so in order to continue to be active and engaged and alive in your life, if that's what you want to do, you have to start participating in your health. Because if you don't, then you are going to kind of have an icky life. You're going to be sick all the time. You're not going to want to do anything. Your energy is going to be really low. You're probably going to be a little bit moody and unhappy. So you might notice after you hit 50 that you get these step downs. And I had noticed that. And so I had started becoming really engaged with my health. And now I was thinking, I just took this massive step down. I've never taken such a huge step down. What is going on? And so, I started changing up what I was eating. I started picking different foods and it wasn't working. And that really had me concerned. And then one morning, my husband's like, this high pH water, it is working just great with my coffee. I am feeling wonderful. And I'm sitting there And all of a sudden the light goes off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot I was doing high pH water. I've been drinking all this high pH water and it is killing me. I'm feeling horrible. So 2 different people, 2 totally different experiences. For my husband, he's like, yeah, that works great. And for me, I'm like, oh gosh, no, that's like the absolute worst thing to do. So let's talk about pH. So let's say we have this range of pH between 1 and 9, and the lower numbers are more acidic, and the higher numbers are more alkaline. And when you're on either extreme, they can be damaging, they can be caustic, right? So something that's too acidic can eat through your digestive lining and cause ulcers. But the same thing can happen with something that's too alkaline. That's just as caustic as something that's too acidic. We just usually run into the acidic one more often. So either side of the spectrum, too much either way, and it's going to cause a lot of damage in your digestive tract. So let's talk about the digestive tract. So the stomach, it likes a pH of 2. And then when you drink this water, it pops your pH up to much higher than 2. So let's talk about that for a minute, because you know when they prescribe the PPIs, those omeprazole, those over-the-counter drugs to help with heartburn and that, most of the time it's because you have too much acid in your stomach. And so those PPIs are supposed to reduce the acid. Well, this high pH water does the same thing, right? And it lifts your acid level. Well, what does that mean in Chinese medicine? So when we look at this from a Chinese medicine perspective, the low pH numbers, the acidic pH numbers are going to be more yang. And then the high pH numbers, the alkaline pH numbers, are going to be more yin. And so let's see here. So then the question becomes, why would this high pH water work for somebody and then not work for another person? Well, that high pH water is making you more alkaline, right? If you've been managing your digestion and you've been trying to keep your digestive acid levels at an appropriate level, then any change in the pH is going to make you feel icky. And so for me, I have to work a lot to keep my pH in my stomach at the appropriate level because I hit that 50 mark, and I found out that all the sins of my past had caught up with me, and now I had digestive issues unless I started managing what I ate. Okay, so for me, managing what I ate kept my stomach acid, about where it should be. And then suddenly I'm drinking this water that's popping it up to 9. And suddenly it's becoming way too alkaline and it's becoming way too caustic. And you're going to get the same symptoms that you would get if it was way too acidic or way too yang. And so for me, I was starting to feel heavy. I was starting to feel nauseated, horrible stomach cramping. I couldn't eat anything. Everything tasted icky. And then all of a sudden I realized I was going to have to get my pH back into balance. And that was going to cause a little bit of effort to get back into balance, right? So I had to stop drinking this high pH water. I went back to normal pH water. And you know what? Your normal water, it's going to be probably around 6 or 5 in your pH. And I was working with a practitioner who had studied with Reams, and Reams was all about the pH of your body. And one of the things that he said is that your saliva and your urine where you want it to be is at 6.4 pH. So when you're drinking this high alkaline water, you're going to change both of those. And for me, both of them went higher. And then I started feeling like crud. And anytime you're too far out of that range of about 6.4, you start feeling like crap. Why did it not work for me and it worked for my husband? So you might find that you have constant heartburn and constant acid reflux, and you have constant digestive inflammation, or maybe just inflammation throughout your body. And that high pH, what it does is it counteracts that inflammation. And so you're going to feel better. Here's the thing. If it's counteracting that inflammation, you would think that over time you would start to feel better, unless you continue to eat the stuff that was causing the inflammation in the first place. And if you've been focusing on changing your health and improving your well-being, and you're doing it with food, for me, that whole change, that was a big change. It wasn't something that just came overnight. It took me 4 years to start to manage and change how I was eating. It wasn't something that was easy. So for you, if you're finding that that high pH water works for you, and then all of a sudden you're listening to this and you're realizing why it's working for you is because you continue to eat the stuff that's causing that inflammation, that's destroying your digestion, well, don't feel too bad, because it takes a lot of effort to change your eating habits. Our eating habits are attached to how we grew up. They're attached to our identity. And so how you eat is a big part of your identity. And so when you make those changes, if they're really big changes, then you're actually changing your identity. And that's not easy. Being conscious that this is happening, now that's the bonus. Because when you're conscious that something's happening, then you have the opportunity to change. If you were just drinking that high pH water and you're going, oh, I feel so much better on that, and not realize that your ability to drink so much of that water means that you are eating things that are really damaging to your digestion and to your overall health, well, you probably wouldn't realize that. And then over time, you wouldn't be able to change or make your overall life better. Now, I don't know that anybody can drink that high pH water for, months on end. I haven't heard of anybody who can do that. So even if this is making you feel good and you realize that you're eating things that are really damaging to your digestion, at some point in time, you will have drank too much of that water and you're going to feel kind of crappy anyways. So this water can give you an opportunity to go, I wonder what it is I'm eating, and start to look at changing some of your eating habits and see if by the time that water doesn't work for you, that you've changed enough of your eating habits that you don't have to worry about that horrible heartburn anymore. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about that high pH water. I wanted to talk about what high pH is, how it looks in Chinese medicine, where the low pH is yang and the high pH is yin. I wanted to talk about how you feel when you feel off drinking that stuff, why it would make you feel off, and then to talk about if this water makes you feel better, and it does that for quite some time, then this is an opportunity for you to make some changes, or at least to think about what is it that I can change so I don't feel so icky when I finally drank too much of this water and I can't drink it anymore. Okay, I hope that helped. And until next time, I will catch you on the other side.